Okay, hello. So today I am going to write a route handler for this API that I've been building and kind of showcase the stuff that I've been learning over the past couple days. And it's been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed learning about backend services a lot. So basically, I am in a tutorial course where they are teaching Node.js, and the tutorial is building a mock video rental application. So this is like a video rental application, like back in like Netflix when it first started, or like Blockbuster if they were to build an application. This isn't streaming; it's just they'll be customers and they can log into the site, they can view movies by genres, they can check out the movie, and the movie will have a due date. So it's kind of just a mock implementation of that. So I've got most of the stuff already set up to run the server. I've already created a couple of endpoints here. And what I'm going to do today is create the post request for the rentals endpoint. So I'm going to create an endpoint for rentals. Every time a rental is created, it will post to this endpoint and push that to the server so that we can keep track of what rentals we have going. So in order to do that, we're going to start with our server application here. This is our main server. We've already connected to the database, which is based on a function that I wrote in another program. I'm not going to go into that. This is just so that we can parse JSON and use JSON in Express. This is finding the local port, and then this is actually running the server. And then these are our endpoints. So to define a new endpoint, we'll just copy this down. We will do, let's see, what am I doing? Rentals. Rentals. And so this is telling the server that any request that comes to this endpoint, use this file here. And so we're going to create that file here, rentals.js. And so the application just uses this file. And to pull this file in, to link these two together, we're going to need Express. Excuse me, I have a cold, so if I clear my throat or cough. So we'll use Express here. And then we'll need to make a router for Express to use for it to handle this endpoint. So we'll say express.router, boom. And then we'll say module.exports router. So this brings it all full circle. Basically, like I just said, it points to this file that we just created. This file will have some logic in it that'll execute, and then it'll export that router to Express. And all that's done within the Express framework, which makes it really easy to kind of start HTTP servers. Okay, so we can test this. Let's go ahead and test this and just write a simple GET request. And since we already defined the route on the main page, we don't have to define it here. We can just put slash. So this is defining the route. This takes the request and the response. And we can hit response.send hello, let's say rentals route. Save. And I do have the prettier extension enabled, so when I save it, like kind of smushes everything together and condenses it. So that should be right. Let's go ahead and start our server with NodeMon. NodeMon is a simple application that just anytime you save or make changes to any of your files, it automatically restarts the server so that you don't have to do it manually. So the server is running on port 3000. Let's go to localhost API / rentals. And so that's exactly what we did here. We're saying any request that comes to this endpoint, which this is our server, and this is our endpoint, pull this rentals file and execute that logic. So we should get hello rentals route. Sweet. Okay, so that is working as intended. All right, let's write our post request. Well, I guess I didn't need to. I can just change this to post and write new logic here. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so to post anything to the database, we need to give it a shape. We need to give it an outline. We need to tell like what shape is our data going to be in before we post it. I mean, I guess we can post whatever we want to the database, but if we want to make sense of it, we need to have what they call a shape or a schema. And I've actually already written that here because for the rentals API, because I didn't want this video to be too long. So we've already created our rentals schema. And so this is going to be kind of the blueprint that we're going to use to push to the database every time a rental is created. So the rental will have a customer, like which customer took the movie out, which movie they took out, which date they took it out, and when is it due. And I understand that these should be dynamic, like it should just like be dynamic when they hit checkout or whatever, and that should change. But I'm not to that point right now. So right now, for simplicity and writing this endpoint, I'm just going to use a string. I'll just say whatever date. I'll just enter whatever date is there. So this is our schema that we have right here, and we've exported it. We've kind of basically this works like a constructor. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring that in const rental equals require let's see, where am I? I need to go up to, I think. No? Yeah, if I'm in rentals. There we go. Models and rentals. Perfect. Now we have that constructor to use within our post request. And so the client is going to send a request to this endpoint, and it's going to be a post request. So we can deconstruct that post request and put them in a set of variables using object destructuring. And the request is going to have, because we formatted it this way and we're going to format our front end this way, it's going to have four things, four key value pairs. It's going to have a customer, movie, checkout date, and due date. So we can automatically just store those into our variables here. Checkout date and due date. Perfect. And those are going to come from the request body. So those are going to be in the body of the request, and we're going to store those in these variables within this function, customer, movie, checkout date, due date. And it's going to point to the key value pairs that come along within the request. And I can show you that kind of here. This is kind of my scratch pad for JSON, fake JSON. This is when I created the user. So basically, when we get a request from the client, it's going to have customer, and we're going to have this as an ID, which we'll change later. We'll have this as an ID as well. We won't have a last name. We'll have customer, movie, check out date, oops, and due date. Why isn't it? Oh, okay, we need a comma here. Due date. We'll say, what is a week from now? 5/28/2019. And we'll say this due date is 5/21. Oops. 2019. And we'll get the IDs later, and all this will make sense. Because we're specifying here that they're going to be IDs that refer to a certain customer and an ID that refers to a certain movie. So basically, this will be the request that the client sends to the server. So that's what we're doing here. The body is going to look like this. And so we're just assigning these variables to each of those bodies. Which I know object destructuring is really simple, but I just want to explain it because I am doing this stuff for the first time. Okay, error. So we are going to be talking to a server, so we need to make this an asynchronous function because we're going to be talking to a server, which there's going to be a certain amount of delay in talking to a server, connection speeds, connection volume, etc. So something that's not instant is going to have to be put within an asynchronous function. But I guess we can get to that in a second. I'm kind of chopping things up here because first we need to create a new rental. And how we're going to do that is new. We're going to use that constructor that we imported from here. So our new rental is going to be customer movie, and you can see those starting to light up there. Checkout date and due date. So it's going to create this new rental within this try catch block. Then we're going to await. This is where the asynchronous and the await here come into play. We're going to take the rental and save it to the server. And if that is successful, then we're going to send the rental to the client. So basically, we'll just send it as an object that we created. If there's an error in doing that, then we're going to send the error dot message. That's what I want to do there. Okay. I think that's pretty much taken care of there. We've got everything kind of covered here. Let me just make sure that I didn't miss anything. We're requiring the schema, etc. Okay. So now let's test this out. So we will go to Postman, which is just an application that helps you build APIs. We have a new request here. We're going to send a post request to, I'll just copy this from the browser over there. So post request to this. And in the body of the post request, we're going to send a JSON object. And we have that thing that I already created. And so we need to get the IDs of those customers. And the IDs are usually gotten client side, I think, or once I haven't really gotten to like users and authentication, but I think once they like authenticate and log in, the client will know what their user ID is. And so it will send this, so we won't have to do this manually, obviously. Let's see, what am I looking for? So customers, let's say Michael Scott. Is going to check out Bambi. How cute is that? Okay. So we don't have anything in our rentals collection here yet because we haven't pushed anything. So this is going to be it. I think this is all right. Let's see. Let's make sure our server is running. Everything is saved. Server's running, database, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's see if this works. It might not. Nice, sweet, it worked. So this is the request to the server, and then this is the response to from the server. And so the logic that we programmed said to return the rental that it created if it was successful. And it looks like it was successful. So if we go back to our database, and we refresh this, boom, bada boom, awesome, it worked. So now we've created a new rental, and we can use, like I said before, we can use like populate and all this stuff to decode these IDs. But this is basically saying that we have a new rental where this customer checked out this movie, and we can go to those collections and see like which movie it is, like, and how many we have in stock, and the rental rate, and which customer is doing that. So sweet, awesome. This is fantastic. I'm so glad it worked. Just a plug for this guy right here. I think this guy is one of the best introductory level tutors and programmer and people who are teaching out that are out there that I have found. I mean, he starts at the basic level and just kind of works up. And so I'm working through the Node course. I've done a little bit of the React course, and it's pretty cheap too. I think it's like 15 bucks a month. So, and he's got all these courses on here. But anyways, that's great. Awesome. Glad it worked. And yeah, we'll see you later.